Witajcie. Przepraszamy Was za leciutkie opóźnienie dwuminutowe, ale jak to z czasem bywa, z komputerem i z internetem mogą być problemy, więc jest godzina dokładnie 11:02, dlatego też zapraszamy Was na kolejną wirtualną podróż i tym razem zgodnie z naszą obietnicą lądujemy w słonecznej Portugalii, którą zresztą już możecie za naszym gościem w tle zobaczyć, jaką mają piękną pogodę i jak super ta Portugalia wygląda. Tradycyjnie prosimy Was o potwierdzenie w komentarzach, czy nas widzicie i czy słyszycie, czy jest wszystko ok już technicznie i możemy zaczynać. Także dajcie proszę znać w komentarzach, jak tylko dostaniemy od Was sygnał jest ok technicznie, zaczniemy naszą kolejną wirtualną podróż i nasze spotkanie. Chwileczkę na to poczekamy, ponieważ zawsze dostajemy te informacje z opóźnieniem. To jest kwestia techniczna, nie mamy na to wpływu, także chwilkę poczekamy jeszcze. Te osoby, które się podłączyły, dajcie proszę znać, widzę Agnieszkę, widzę Anitkę, dajcie proszę znać w komentarzu, że jest ok technicznie i możemy ruszać. Pewnie Wy jeszcze piszecie, a my tego nie widzimy niestety. Uparty ten Facebook i przesyłka danych. Jest ok, dzięki Agnieszka. Super, czyli możemy zaczynać. Tak jak powiedziałam na wstępie, zapraszamy Was na kolejną wirtualną podróż, a wirtualne podróże są to nasze cykliczne spotkania, w trakcie których zabieramy Was do różnych zakątków świata, opowiadamy o tych zakątkach, zapraszamy zawsze gościa, który z danego kierunku pochodzi i tam mieszka, ale jednocześnie na żywo pokazuje Wam to miejsce, żeby było troszeczkę ciekawiej niż same opowieści. Także dzisiaj zabierzemy Was do Portugalii. Ja nazywam się Elwira Urbańczyk i reprezentuję firmę Make Break, w której zajmujemy się przygotowaniem wyjazdów szytych na miarę, zarówno dla klientów indywidualnych, jak i firmowych w postaci wyjazdów motywacyjnych. Przygotowujemy także różnego rodzaju konferencje i eventy, także aktualnie w wersji online'owej. A teraz serdecznie chciałabym Wam przedstawić mojego dzisiejszego gościa, którego już wczoraj mieliście okazję zobaczyć na krótkim spotkaniu live. Jest to Maria. Jak widzicie, za sobą ma piękną Portugalię w tle. Hello Maria, how are you?
Hello Elvira, how are you today? Good?
Yeah,
Hello,
I'm
everyone
good.
at home.
Yeah. Please introduce yourself and say something about you generally and about where you are.
Okay, very good. Hello everyone at home. Thank you so much for joining us today on this live from Portugal. It's a beautiful day today, as you can see, but it's summertime, so that's normal. I am right in one of the top of the hills of Lisbon. I chose this location because it's really a high point, and from here you can see, as you can see in my behind me, the Castle Hill and a bit of the river as well, and a bit of the bridge. So what we have planned for you today is to try to show you a bit of Lisbon, or downtown, the more historical part, let's say. And on the way to tell you a bit more about what you can do and present the country a bit, talk about Porto as well and other regions, and also the islands. So along the way, I'll try to show you a bit of the city center, but also tell you a bit more what you can explore on your future trips to Portugal. Okay, so we'll start from here, from this top. I will change my camera now and then so you can follow and also see some of the city. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to change it. So Portugal is basically this small country, just.
Maria, I think the view didn't change. I don't know why. We have only the black view. Mm-hmm. Even if we test yesterday this thing and was
right.
okay.
We did, yeah. But it's not working now, I believe.
No.
Okay. So where am I now? Hello. Sorry, guys.
No, you know, it's like
this is high tech.
We are live, we are online, and it can be sometimes problem with some technical things, and we cannot do anything with that. So I think you need to change.
I'm changing, but it doesn't assume the front one as well. That's the thing.
That's strange.
Sorry, can I just disconnect and put it me again on? So maybe
Yes,
this is blocked or
yes,
something
you can.
like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can.
Sorry, guys.
Kochani, czyli poczekamy, aż Maria wróci z powrotem na żywo, już nie w postaci czarnej kropki, czarno-białej kropki. Dzisiaj jakoś strasznie mamy problemy techniczne z różnych chyba przyczyn. Już widzę, że szybko wróciła, szybko jej się udało połączyć. Now we see you and everything is fine, you're back,
So
and the Lisbon is back.
Yeah, I will not play with my camera anymore, so I will just turn my phone and show you the rest, okay, while I talk. As I was saying, so I am in one of the viewpoints of Lisbon. You can see a bit of the Lisbon Bridge, and you can see also the hill, the Castle Hill on top. And down there, you see what we call downtown, okay? So we have the river, not the sea. And then further down after the bridge, then it opens up to the ocean. And then we have what we call the Lisbon coast and the Atlantic Ocean, okay? So Portugal basically is this small rectangular by Spain at the end of Europe, let's say. We're a small country, we are about 10 million people. And we also have a vast area of Atlantic Ocean where you will find the two big archipelagos, the Madeira Islands and the Azores Islands, okay? Basically, of course, most of the flights are into Lisbon, and for that reason, especially from Poland, and for that reason, Lisbon is the main destination for the Polish clients, whether they are individuals or groups, doesn't really matter. Okay, then from here you can take the connection to Madeira Islands, or you can take the connection to the Azores. Okay, and as well to Porto if you want to take the flight there. Then at the moment we are facing this special situation, obviously. So we have been preparing the country and the services to be able to cope the best possible way with this COVID contamination, let's say. So there were procedures that were assumed by the government to help the companies to be more prepared to deal with the tourism and the clients and stop whenever possible the contamination of the virus. The numbers are getting better at the moment, but now and then there are some peaks here and there in the country. The islands actually have been quite good on numbers, Madeira and Azores. It's very much controlled there, and the cases were not that many. Lisbon area was a bit more affected, and also Porto area. Okay. So if you've been here in the country, you know what I'm talking about already. We have at the moment the flights are just resuming, so we're trying hard to get the tourism back anyway. Okay. Some countries are still closed, or the borders are still closed, but hopefully until the end of the year, everybody will be back a bit more into normal. Okay. So what we are proposing now for the clients is a bit more going a bit more out of the track, the normal tourist, locations, and try to offer or propose them to explore a bit more of other regions as well, even not staying in the city center, or a bit more, away from the more crowded places. Okay, so we're just moving down to downtown. I have a tuk with me, so I have Ugo with me, and we will go to for a bit of a ride on the tuk, and on the way I will tell you a bit more of the destination as well. Okay.
Yeah. Tuk is a good idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, tuk is a good idea. Yeah. I remember that Lisbon has a lot of hills. So hello.
That's Ugo.
Yeah. So
that's right. Lisbon is very hilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Lisbon is very hilly, and this is a good way, and especially because they are electric, so which is also good for the environment, and it's quite sustainable. Podemos ir andando? Let me just put my belt because I need it. So this way down to downtown, let's say, it will be a bit bumpy as well because the roads here on the old quarters are in cobblestones, and we also have the tram lines. So okay, have my belt on. But it's quite a fun way and good way actually to explore the viewpoints in Lisbon and the old quarters, okay? Because it can be a bit tiring, like coming up the castle and so on. This can be used as a private tour for individuals, or even as a fun activity or part of a fun activity for the groups. So you can really, explore quickly a bit of all these historical parts of Lisbon. Okay.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And for example, if the families, they are travel with children, I can say they are worried that if they should go to Lisbon because it's hilly and it will be problem, they need to take care of the children. So the tuk-tuk is a great idea to visit the Lisbon and also with children, without any problem that is too high and they don't want to go there.
That's right. Even though it's important to say that Lisbon is a small capital city, okay, and quite compact, which means that the best way of really get to know downtown is on foot, is walking, and then because of these hills on the historical sites, then you can make use of these tuks, but you also have the traditional trams that you can also take a ride on those and get to the different parts of downtown, let's say. Okay. Another thing that is quite fun is the bicycles. The bikes along the river, because all that area is quite flat. It's also a good alternative and a good way to explore even the second part of the city that we will not be able to see today, but it's quite beautiful as well, which is what we call the discovered quarter, the Belém quarter, all flat area where the monastery is, and it's all by the river. So it's quite a beautiful area under the bridge, and a good way to get to there is also by bicycle or by tram as well. Okay, by foot is a bit of a long walk. So I will turn my phone now. We are going down Alfama, okay? Alfama is the oldest quarter in Lisbon. Actually, Lisbon started from this hill. So this is still some houses are dated from the 16th century here. This is quite bumpy, as I told you. It's quite a residential quarter still, and very much a visitor, of course. So you still have people living here, and normal local shops, small shops, and and the houses as well. Everything here is patrimony, so you cannot really destroy anything from outside, especially the facades. Okay. So this is also part of a walking tour, for instance, and it's quite an interesting neighborhood, even because it's the more twisted, let's say. The roads are not so parallel, it's all very much labyrinthic, as you can see, because it still has a lot of influence from the Moorish, when the Moorish were in Lisbon. Okay. You can see the tram line, so this is where our yellow iconic trams pass by. We will be for sure see some. And this is also the cradle of our fado song. Okay, the fado is the traditional song of Portugal, a sad song, let's say. That is a mix of different things, of influences actually, a bit of jazz, a bit of soul, a bit of Cape Verde morna, the type of song that they have there. So it's a mix of, because it talks about feelings, and it's always played in a cozy environment and with the Portuguese guitar. It has to have a Portuguese guitar with it.
Yeah, I think that fado music is really deep in your history, in Portugal history, as I remember.
Yes, it is. Yes, and it is actually the roots are from this neighborhood, from Alfama. Okay, so this is we are getting close to the Castle Hill now, and this is really the heart of Alfama that goes down to the river. Okay, the old Porto goes down to the river as well. And you have our yellow trams. These yellow trams are quite nice, actually. Normally they are quite busy. It's not the case now, unfortunately, because of the pandemic. But these small trams, these yellow trams, you can actually rent them in private for groups as well. Okay, so if you have a group of each one of them takes about 24 people, and they can be rented, and you can make part of the tour of the city on these trams. Okay, so this is the nice quarter of Alfama. Okay?
So we can do like a private trip, but yellow trams, and do some party inside when we need it. So how many people need to go to rent the tram for themselves, or it doesn't matter? It is point that
there is a maximum. We can take like a maximum of 5 trams actually at the same time simultaneously, and each one of them takes about 24 people. Okay. So if you want to do it in private, even if they are only 10 people, you can do it. You just have to pay for the trams. They rent it individually. Okay. And we can decide on the route, and we can bring them up here to Alfama, or to the other hill as well. These small ones, these yellow ones, only cover these historical portraits. Okay. They don't go so far away, so it's basically around here in downtown. Okay. But you can also do the walking tours. The walking tours are actually one of the best ways of exploring Lisbon, even though they are a bit more tiring. But it's a very nice way of exploring, because otherwise you don't really have the chance to stop in these small roads or streets and take the stairs and explore a bit of the neighborhood. We just go through the main roads. This is our cathedral. It was a mosque in the past, because, as I told you, this was an Arab quarter. And then it was destroyed, and then it was rebuilt as a Catholic church, of course, because we are a Catholic country. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though the state is quite open, and we don't really have a state religion, let's say. Okay. But most of the Portuguese people are Catholic. Okay. But we still have large communities of other nationalities, like Jewish, like Chinese people, Islamic people as well. Because I don't know if you know, but Portugal has been, a bit all over the place back in the 15th and 16th century, by the time of the discoveries, and for that reason, we have a lot of people that came from like Portuguese colonies, like in the African Portuguese colonies, like Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, also Brazil. We've been in Macau, we've been in Japan. So I mean, back in the time that we were rich.
That's true. And this is the funny, because you said at the beginning that you have only 10 million now people,
Yes.
and you had a lot of colony before. And I read that in some part of the world you were first, and you take this part of your colony. I don't remember now which was the country, but I read that
yes,
it was
we
surprising.
were. Yeah, we divided the world with Spain, right? Back in the 16th century. And even after that, we have been in many other countries, even more recently. me, for instance, as an example, I was born in Mozambique, okay? So I'm not natural from Portugal. But
Really?
yes, but my father and mother are Portuguese. So they went from here and they went to Mozambique to live there, which means that it was a Portuguese colony back in the 60s of last century. So a lot of Portuguese people, went there to make their living there, like to Angola, like to Cape Verde, to Guinea, also to Brazil. So I was born in Mozambique, and then I came back with 7 years old when by the time of independence, because all those countries during the 70s became independent of Portugal, and so most of the Portuguese people returned to Portugal. But after that, those countries were speaking the same language, Portuguese, besides their own languages, of course. And for that reason, many people come also to Portugal from there, like people that are coming to study and are coming to live as well. So we have quite a big mix in the community, actually. We have people from Africa, we have people from Brazil for different reasons, because Brazil was very much affected by the crisis back in 2012. So a lot of people came over to Europe to find work. And of course, Portugal was the main door, because it was a language that it's the same language, actually. So, so it was the easiest place for them to come. But besides that, we have Chinese, we have Islamic people, because we also have been in India. So we have also quite many Indians as well. And even our gastronomy is a bit of mix. There's some influences, actually. We have curry in our gastronomy, not just cod, okay? Not just sardines and cod. So it's like, and also in the words and all that. So we are quite a small country, but with a very big mix of different cultures, actually.
Yeah.
Cultures and, yeah.
It's good that you said, because I didn't know that it's so much more multicultural country. I've been in Portugal already, but I didn't feel that. I know that there are a lot of people from all over the world, but I didn't know that so much multicultural, as you said now, that there are a lot of people from outside Portugal.
Food and habits and so on, it also shows, okay? We are more, also more Mediterranean, of course, as you know. We eat later than most of the countries in Europe. Not as late as Spain, actually, but our dinner is usually around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening, quite easily, okay? So we are now in downtown, actually. This is like the heart of the city. And it's like Lucia Square. For the ones that have been here already, they will probably recognize some of the places. This is the main square where the theater is, and where the shopping area is also located. Okay, that's a big portal up there on the top, and then the ruins of Carmel. So the church that has no ceiling. It's also a beautiful viewpoint over there. And over here, this is Rocio with the theater on the back, and our Peter IV, one of the kings that was first in Brazil. Okay, so that's the heart of the city, basically. Okay, so soon I will stop with the tour, and I will go to the city as well, down here, so you can see.
The jumpy road. I remember that Lisbon has a lot of small streets, and the jumpy road, that is, when you use the tuk-tuk, you will jump for sure.
Actually, I think Portugal, if you think of coming, please bring your trainers, okay? Because this is not a city for high hills. Definitely.
Yeah. But I think Porto has more highly roads. That is, yeah.
Yeah, Porto is a bit more steep into the river, actually. It's a safe location like Porto, like Lisbon, by the river. as well, and by the Atlantic Ocean. But it's small, and it's older. Actually, it's older than Lisbon because it's where the country started. Portugal started up there in the north, so nearby Porto, not in Porto, but nearby Porto. Okay, I'm just going out of the tube now, so just give me 1 second so I take my belt off. I'll say goodbye to Hugo. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Posso? Deste lado pode ser? Hugo, obrigada. Tchau, até logo, obrigada. Obrigada is our
Obrigada.
word.
Yeah.
If you've been, you already know what I'm saying. I'm just thanking to Hugo because I'm leaving him now. So now I'm actually, like I said, I'm right in the downtown. I'm just going to show you and talk a bit another area of Lisbon, which we will not see today, but it's very beautiful and is located on the outskirts. So this building that we have here is the train station that will take us to Sintra, okay, if you want to go by train, of course. Sintra is a mountain on the Lisbon coast, as we call it, which is our Riviera, Portuguese Riviera. So it goes from the river front to the ocean, and it's where also the Cape Roca is located. So the westernmost point in continental Europe. The Cape, and then also Cascais and Estoril. So if you've been, you know what I'm talking about. There are small locations by the ocean as well. So this is just half an hour away from city center, from where we are today, okay? And this is the train line, so the train station, which is very beautiful as well. And Sintra was in the past, in the 18th century, was like the summer residence of the king. So it's very green and, with a special climate, actually, because it's very humid. It's a mountain and it's a park, and it has a lot of historical buildings there, very beautiful, and palaces as well that can be visited and should be visited. But it's also a wine region. Actually, the smallest wine region we have in the country is located just next to Sintra. So you can actually spend the day exploring Sintra by visiting the palaces, stopping for a wine tasting, whether it is by jeep or whether you go, with a tour guide and do the visit, make a stop in Cape Roca as well. It's quite a beautiful location, and it's a feeling of country, area away from the city, and it's just half an hour away from where we are now.
If somebody wants to choose between Cascais and Sintra, which place you will recommend more? Sintra?
Sintra, definitely, because Sintra is more historical, okay? Sintra is more historical. Sintra is, like I said, all the houses there, and it's UNESCO patrimony, all that area, all the historical center. The palaces are beautiful. The location itself is beautiful. It's very green, very lush, very hilly as well, but it really worth a visit. Cascais and Estoril are the towns by the ocean, and those towns were more developed when during the 40s, I would say 40s, 50s, because during the Second World War, Portugal was neutral. We didn't take part of it, and so we were the country was actually a good opportunity for the spies to get refugee or to stay here, So a lot, and also it was a country that has received some of the kings of Europe that has to go on exile, like the Italian king, for instance. And after that, after the war, of course, having aristocracy here and people with money and so on, they all stayed and lived in Estoril and Cascais, which makes it from that part of the coast an expensive and a rich part of the city, actually. Okay, and then it was developed, with the hotels, more charming and classic, with the casino. So it's a completely different perspective of the coast than Sintra. Sintra is historical, is patrimony, and the Cape, of course, it's beautiful. I really would like to show you today, but we can't go there.
No, it's too far. It's impossible.
It's
we have only
beautiful.
Yeah,
it's
I
beautiful
heard.
in the sense because of course, it's a promontorium, so it's a high point, but it's not because of that. I think the most beautiful part of it is that in front of you, you only have ocean, so you see no land, and I think that's the more special, actually, of the Cape. Do you really have the feeling of, clean horizon and deep ocean in front of you? Okay. And for us in Europe, of course, we don't have the chance to see that every day, right? We have the lakes, or we have other types of seas like the Mediterranean and so on. But the color of an ocean is completely different than a sea. That's my opinion, at least.
True. This is why we are jealous. We have in Poland our sea, but we have no access to the ocean directly with these beautiful colors. So yeah, we can be jealous. Maria, please say something. If somebody will have like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and the person wants to go to Portugal, which places you will recommend? For sure, Lisbon, I think. For sure, Porto.
Lisbon should not be missed, of course.
No.
Porto as well, because even though, like I said, it's a bit similar to Lisbon in the sense that it's by the river, by the ocean, very old as well, historical. But Porto is very much connected to the port wine production. Even though the vineyards are not in Porto, are quite far away from Porto, actually, which they are located in what we call the Douro Valley. And of course, but Porto, has a very large community of English people. Actually, the English were the ones exploring the port wine trade for many, many, many years, and still are. Okay, even though at the same point on the 18th century, we had a prime minister that decided to block the port wine companies to the English and nationalized everything. But they stayed in Porto and they still continue to do the trade. And they still exist and they're still there, those families. And if you check the name of the port wine, you easily
Porto.
find out that Porto or Porto, and the brands of the port wine, it's they're all English, right? They are Taylors, they are Cockburns, they are Croft, they are Callum, all English names anyway. Okay, so Porto is quite different. I'm just going to make a stop here to show you 2 things, actually.
What is funny, I have exactly in the same place photo from the last year from my visit in Lisbon. In the same,
really?
the same streets where you are already now. Yeah, it was like charming.
I am in Augusta Street, which is our middle street here in downtown, and it's the shopping. So it's pedestrian. It's the shopping street. And I'm walking actually towards the river. I don't know if you're able to see it at the end after the arch, but it's where the river is located.
Yeah.
And right here, I'm just making a stop to tease you a bit, because this is what we call our pastel de nata, so our custard cakes. Okay, they are very
delicious
here from Lisbon. They are delicious and they smell. I can tell you that they smell good as well, but you can't feel it yet. Can you listen this song that I'm listening here?
It's fado?
It's fado, exactly. Yeah? That's a
Yeah.
fado, yes. And I'm going to show you something else, which is this seal or stamp, as you call it, which was the stamp created by the government to certify the services and to guarantee that they are disinfected and they respect all the norms of COVID-free, let's say. Okay. So we're talking about Porto, and Porto actually is hold that heritage that Lisbon doesn't have. So all that English heritage, the English culture that the families brought with them, and the port wines are still traded by them, and you have the port wine cellars located also in Porto, which makes of Porto quite interesting to visit because. If you want to drink a glass of port wine here in Lisbon or anywhere else in the country, of course you can do it. But you don't really have the wine cellar here, okay? The wine cellars of port wine are only located in Porto, okay? So it's quite a big difference. When you go there, you can see the you can get to know the history, visit the cellars, taste the wines and different types of wines and so on. Up there, the Lisbon Castle, all those trees are the Lisbon Castle. And now I'm going to show you, because I'm just passing by here, another iconic building in town, which is the lift. This is a lift that was built by a colleague of Eiffel. So it's the same type of iron, like Eiffel Tower and so on. Okay. And right on the top, it's a belvedere, so it's a viewpoint, which is quite nice as well. Okay. So that is something that can be also visited. It's open, as you can see. I don't know if you can see people up there.
Yeah, I remember that there were a huge queue to go to this lift at the top. How is the situation now?
No,
there
today
everywhere.
I can see from here there are like 5 people there.
Yeah.
So,
often it's
but I can
huge
tell you,
queue.
But I think that of course it's beautiful to go up on the lift and so on, but actually this lift connects downtown, where we are, to the other hill, the Bairro Alto hill. Okay, so if you go up to the top by the lift, you can walk to the hill on the other side. You don't need to come back down. Okay, it's not a way up and down only. So if you don't want to stay on the queue, you just have to walk through the quarter around and get to the top, and then you can see the view and you can go up there. No problem.
Yeah, I see.
Exactly.
Good to say that.
It makes more sense than staying on the queue, because it's a very old lift. It takes quite some time, and it's just one, so it has to go up and then comes down, and then to come down. So it takes time. Okay, so in Porto, we have also different types of boats on the river, because again, the boats in Porto, the ones that are used for the small cruise, like 1 hour cruise on the river, they are also related to the port wine trade. They are flat boats, wood flat boats, and that's because they had to have a support to load the wine barrels, okay? And those wine barrels were coming from the vineyards up in the Douro Valley. So, and it's quite a long way, okay? If you look at the map of Portugal, the Douro Valley is almost in the same line of Porto, but inland, and it's almost together with Spain, very close to the Spanish border. So the boats would come from the Douro River, so from up there. The wine barrels, were shipped on the boats to the cellars in Porto, okay? And from Porto, then they were going on the big caravels boats to England, okay? To England, because it was the wine was exported in the beginning like that, and at some point the English realized that the quality of the wine was different when it was, when they got to the UK, and that's the origin of the port wine, actually, as a sweet wine. They saw that the weather and it transformed the wine somehow, and that's more or less how it was created. Madeira also has a kind of wine like that, okay, and also the southern part of Spain, like Andalusia,
Mhm.
also has the Jerez. The Jerez wine is very similar to port wine, okay? But port wine, like champagne, are trademarks, and they cannot be, used for any other type of wines in other parts of the world, okay? But it's a kind of a sweet wine anyway.
Mhm. Now now it's 11:30 and I am starting about the wine, thinking about wine, but I can feel that no, maybe it's too early about that. But if you are saying about Porto wine and Portugal wine, I think it's kind of one of the best one I can say. I really like this wine. So
Well, there is some noise here. Yeah, the port wine we have from different prices actually, and and the more cheap one, we Portuguese people use it to put it on
oh,
cakes
mhm.
or meats, sauces to
Yeah.
cook, especially. The one that is a bit more expensive, and there are different types of port wine as well. Then they are good to drink. And there is one port wine that it's not uh, well known actually internationally, which is the white port. Okay, the white
Mhm.
port is a dry wine, sweet wine as well. Is only taken as an aperitif, so before meal. Okay, then all the other wines, ruby, tawny, vintage, they are all red wines. Okay, sweet
Mhm.
red wines. But the white wine usually is not so well known outside the
Yeah,
country. Uh,
true.
but when you come here, you have the opportunity to taste it actually. So Porto is quite special in that sense. You have the boats that goes with the cellars and the wine trade. You have the wine cellars, and it's a very old town, very historical and very beautiful. The river up there is very much narrow, and it makes a difference because you can cross the bridge, you can walk from the
Mhm.
two banks through the bridge, which is quite nice and interesting.
Mhm.
And again, up there, you have the tuks, you have what we call the go cars, which are small cars that you can drive around in the city. Bikes is more intensive, I would say, just for the ones that are really fit. But then you do a lot of walking as well in Porto. Okay,
Mhm.
Porto is up in the north, so it's like our Milan, let's say, if you would, of Italy. And also that means that it's more humid, it's more gray, it's more wet. Okay,
Mhm.
so months to avoid in Porto, definitely December, January, February. Uh, they are very dark months, okay?
Mhm.
And that's not exactly what you expect when you come to Portugal. So then the
Because
southern you come,
because
the warmer
Portugal
it
can
gets.
can be, as you start talking about the weather, Portugal can be like holier destination. I remember that I was surprised when I've been there in March. I've been in Lisbon. Of course, it wasn't like 30 degrees, but after that we go to the south, to Algarve region, where about what you will, I think, say later. And there was like
Yes.
25, 26 degree in the beginning of the March. So I was surprised because were still in Europe, yeah, not in, I don't know, Asia or some further.
Yeah, exactly. Portugal normally is seen as a tropical destination, so a warmer destination, a bit like southern part of Spain as well. Uh, but even though we are a small country, I would say that the northern part, Porto, Douro Valley, all that top north, are a bit more humid and wet and dark in the winter time. Okay, and the winter time
Mhm.
for us is basically the coldest months are basically December, January, and February. Okay, when it
Mhm.
rains more and when it gets more cold, and of course, December the days are quite short as well, and that makes it a bit more dark. Also, all the northern part, the architecture, even in Porto, is made, or the old buildings were made of local stone, and and it's dark as well. Okay, so all together with the misty and the foggy and the rain and so the cold, it makes the city a bit sad, I would say, and not so ideal to visit because you want to walk around and the weather doesn't really permit you to enjoy it, I would say. Then when you start to walk down to Lisbon, it's a bit warmer already. And then if you get down to the Algarve south, then it's even warmer. Okay, so in March, like you were saying, all the winter actually down in the Algarve is very mild. Easily 19, 20 degrees, easily, okay? We have colder days or colder nights, but during the day, and if the sun is out, then you feel it more, obviously, okay? So if you are lucky, because March is what we call a silly month because it's a bit unstable. It's like the beginning of spring, so it's coming from the winter to spring, and you can get some days with rain, and then you can get some very beautiful days and sunny days. And you were lucky. You were in the Algarve on the right days. So.
Yeah, I got the sunny days for sure.
The Algarve is a bit more resort type of region, okay? So it's not so rich in patrimony. It's not, you don't have the Sintra palaces there, you don't have the English heritage from Porto there, you don't have the big castles and so on. But it's a beautiful coastline, and of course it's very much, people want to go there basically because of the beach.
The beach.
And the beach and the golf. It's a golf resort region, actually. And also all the hotels are more, I'm going to give it a try. And also the hotels are more well equipped. I mean, they are resort type of hotels, okay? So if you want to combine it with Lisbon, for instance, then Lisbon offers a bit more, dynamic tours, history and all that. And then when you get down to the Algarve, you can stay in a hotel and enjoy from the beach because most of them are, right close to the coastline. So many are near the beaches, even if they don't have access to the beach. And it's a more relaxed and more laid back, hotels with better spas as well. Also, many of them actually, even saying this and thinking more about the companies and the groups, many have fantastic facilities for meetings. Okay, and when it comes to February and March, sometimes the kickoff meetings of the year, people like to, the companies like to go there because it's not only off the normal season, which means that the prices become a bit more competitive and better, but at the same time, the weather, usually is quite okay and or better than at home for many countries in Europe, where it is snowing and cold and so on. And they can, with a bit of luck, like you had with 25 degrees in March, you can even, try the ocean and spend, a couple of hours on the beach. So the Algarve is quite a good region, quite competitive with prices as well. If you come, not in July or August, obviously. Okay.
And we need to say that. We need to say that whole Portugal is like a compact country because between Porto and Lisbon we have like 3 hours by car driving, and same from Lisbon to Algarve. If you want to go, it's like only 2 hours. You don't need to spend whole day.
Yes, Lisbon is very much in the middle, which makes it like about 300 kilometers up to Porto and 300 kilometers down to the Algarve. Not even that. Okay, so it's 3 hours in a car, or by speed train, the same, pretty much, because we have, direct train to Porto and direct train to the Algarve as well. So that is something that you can also consider when you're traveling in the country, okay? And it's that's why I was saying that it can be used as a destination by itself, or it can be combined with Lisbon, any of them, or Algarve or Porto as well. And then when we go to the islands, I'm waiting for the traffic light, but I think I will.
This is what I wanted to ask you about the islands, because I mentioned also that we will talk about Madeira, Azores, which are, as we agreed before, like warmy Iceland, but in Portugal. So I would like to ask you about something.
Yes, exactly. The islands, I mean, like I said, they are not, when you look on the map, they look like very close to Portugal, the continental part of Portugal, but they are not. They're quite far away, far out, which means that you need another flight, okay, to Madeira or another flight to Azores. Madeira is more southern, is very close to Canary Islands. So the weather there is quite warm all year round, very stable, okay? Very good destination for the winter time. Doesn't really matter because the temperature never differs much. It's always about 20, 22, sometimes even 24 all year round, okay? And during the night, it doesn't get that cold as well, okay?
Mhm.
And Madeira is quite a tropical island, very green, not like Canary Islands at all, because it has a lot of water. It's very hilly, which means that on the top you can even have some rain and snow. The peaks of the mountains can have some snow, but then down in the main town, in Funchal or by the coastline, it's very warm. It's 22 or 24 degrees. Okay, so it's quite an interesting destination. Very good to families or even to incentives because it's like there's a lot to do, a lot to see, and it's very quiet at the same time. But you know, people will not feel bored because Madeira has been developed in the 60s, 70s, and it became quite cosmopolitan. Okay, and because of the wine, again, the Madeira wine, the English were based there as well. So there is this heritage from the English. Actually, is the main market after Portugal. Is their main market is the UK actually because it offers a lot, and it's very quiet, very easy. You walk around and you get to everywhere. And if you want to explore the island, you know, if you are traveling with a family, you can rent a car. It's quite safe, quite easy to drive around on the island and explore all the other corners of the island. If it's a corporate group, an incentive, then you can do a different million things. You know, you can take them up to the mountains on jeeps, you can, or on buggies or carts, you know, cross carts, you say. You can do the boats, you can do catamarans, you can do walking tours, you can do the cable car, you can do what they have there, which is quite traditional from Madeira. That is the basket rides, you know, like a toboggan that rides down the hill. It's very iconic from Madeira, very special. So Madeira has a lot to offer. If you want to do a 3 days there program for a corporate group, you find things to do, and it's very cosmopolitan. The hotels are very well equipped, very beautiful. The minus is that naturally Madeira doesn't have sandy beaches. Okay, so there are a couple of them now, but they are artificial beach. They are not natural sandy beach. But you have a beautiful ocean. Okay, and then if you go to, whoops,
Be careful.
fire brigade. Then if you go to Azores, then you have, it's a group of 9 islands, okay? But of course, the Azores are semi-tropical. The Azores are a 2 hours flight from Lisbon, the main island, and it's usually where people go, okay? If you are traveling on your own, like individual families and so on, then you are able to explore a bit more of 1 or 2 other islands. But there are only 3 islands that are actually well served with flights from Lisbon, okay? Then between the islands, then you have the small planes that can make the connections. So, you know, the main island is where the big lagoons are located. So it's quite beautiful. And like I said, it's a bit semi-tropical. The temperature is not bad at all. It's also around 20 degrees, but it's more unexpected. You can have like a big shower in the morning, and then the sun comes out and it's a beautiful day, and then shower again in the evening. So it's quite unpredictable, okay? But it's very genuine. It's very, how to say, like you compare it to Iceland, I would say so as well.
Warmer Iceland.
Warmer Iceland, exactly, because the temperature is quite nice. But then you have the how to say, the nature, you know, it's more genuine. It's not so spoiled. It's not so, the Azores were never developed like Madeira Islands or Canary Islands or Mallorca. So they are, you know, the numbers are still very low on tourism. And of course, nowadays, they do a lot to protect the environment and to keep the nature as it is. So they cannot build the hotels anywhere, and so they have some rules to protect that and to preserve that. But it's, you know, if people like nature, it's a beautiful destination. It offers something completely different than continental Europe, okay? Especially the sea. You know, the sea, you really have the dolphins, of course, and the whales. So
and the whales,
when you go on a boat and you to see them, you always see them. There are always, you know, dolphins colonies over there. So the dolphins, you always see them. The whales depends on the time of the year, and the whales are a bit more shy, so they don't come to the boat so easily, let's say. Okay, but the dolphins are very curious, as you know, and they're very social. They like to come, and there are plenty of them in the island of Azores, actually.
So which month you would recommend on Azores to see the whales?
Should be more the winter time. Be more the winter time, because they go they do the crossing more in the winter time. Okay.
So December, January, February around, yeah?
Yeah. November as well. Yeah, October a bit as well. Yes, definitely. Then what you have to do, the things that you have to do in Azores are more like, you know, going on trekking, jeeps to explore the mountains and the lagoons, visit the pineapple plantations and the tea plantations, actually. The tea plantations are the only ones in Europe, actually. And you have green tea there. They produce, you can visit it, you can visit the museum as well. And then you have the lagoons, like I said, you know, exploring the island. So it's more nature, not so many monuments to see or castles or so on. Okay, so it's more into nature and exploring the islands, wherever, you know. It doesn't matter which island is it, but because they are all very much alike in that sense. They're very much into nature. Okay, so not much shopping there to do. Very quiet nightlife, I would say. If you can combine it with you know, a couple of nights in Lisbon, then perfect, ideal, because Lisbon offers you know, what Azores doesn't really offer you. But by itself, it's an amazing destination, and I really recommend it. It's you know, it's going back in time. It's like it's a geopark, so it's going back in time. Okay. I'm here now in the main square by the river in Lisbon. If you've been in Lisbon, you've been here for sure. And all these bars and restaurants around are locations or places that we can also use for our, you know, group dinners, in case of if we're talking about groups. And as you can see, I just walked from the other end to this end. On top, we have the castle. You know, you don't see, you only see part of the walls, because you don't see much more than that. Actually, the castle in Lisbon, it's mostly the walls. You don't have the buildings itself as such. and all this area now is being converted, as you can see, and then we have the river, and then we have Christ the King on the other side, on the other bank, which is not Lisbon anymore. Christ the King, I don't know if you can see it well, but it's like the one in Brazil, but it's a small version, okay? Small thing, not compared to Corcovado. And then the bridge. And the bridge actually, for many, many people, is or resembles San Francisco, okay?
Yeah.
And there's a reason why.
Yeah, because
There's a reason.
you have the biggest, it looks like in San Francisco, yeah? And this is why the name of that Lisbon calls San Francisco in Europe, the biggest bridge in Europe.
This is a suspended bridge, like the one in San Francisco, and it was built by the same company as the one in the American company, as the one in San Francisco, and that's why it has the same format, the same shape.
Yeah.
It's the same company and it's the same concept, so suspended bridge. So you see the little spots sparkling on top on the layer is the cars going back and forth. And underneath there is a rail line for the train that also crosses that bridge, goes underneath the cars layer, okay? And connects Lisbon, which is on the left, with the South Bank, which is on the, Lisbon on the right, with the South Bank on the left.
On the left.
Yes, exactly. And on the other side, there is, on the South Bank, there is also a very big extension of beach that goes into Sesimbra and Setúbal as well, okay? And if we would be on a boat now, and if we would, sail through under the bridge, then we would come to Lisbon coast. We would come to Cascais, Estoril, and so on. And it's just half an hour away from here, okay?
Maria, we already talk 1 hour. Can you imagine?
That's right.
I would like to only ask you one more short question about some Portugal cuisine. You were talking already about the small sweets that came from Portugal, about the wine, and of course sardines. Are there any more dishes that you should recommend that if somebody came to Lisbon, to Portugal generally, he needs to try it?
Yeah, okay. We have a very rich gastronomy, actually, whether it's normal food or sweets, okay? So sardines are very popular, and the codfish, the bacalhau. We cook it in many different ways, and it's a dish that you find all over the country, wherever you go, okay? And the what's make it a bit more different or more iconic from Portugal is the fact that we eat cod, or we prepare the cod in a different way. We eat salt cod, okay? Which means that when the fish were brought from the sea, we would open the fish, we would open it up and let it dry in the sun with salt, okay? That was a way to conserve the cod for a longer time because there were no fridges at that time, okay? And then when we're going to prepare it, when you're going to cook it, we put it in water or in milk to desalt it, okay? And that means that the fish gets a bit more meaty, with a more strong flavor as well. And with that, we prepare it in many different ways. In the oven, baked with potatoes, with onions, always with garlic, always with olive oil. Okay, but with there are many different recipes on cod. Then the sardines, grilled sardines, and I would say grilled fish actually. Dourada, like sea bream, fish from the ocean, not so much from the river. More fresh fish from the ocean. And then besides that, we have seafood as well. Okay, we have shrimps and crab, and lobster as well. Clams and mussels. We eat a lot of clams and mussels. We also eat something, and now it's the season, actually, the summertime, which is not seafood, but it's something that not all the countries eat as well, which is snails. Okay, it's our summer tapa, let's say. It's our summer tapa. Also from the sea, we have octopus and squids. You find it all over as well. And then you have all the meat. We eat cow, we eat, beef, pork, chicken, turkey, duck, rabbit. It's quite a variety. I mean,
so
you
mix
really,
everything.
yeah, exactly. Wherever you go in the country, I mean, Porto is known for the octopus, for instance. If you go to Azores, they eat a lot. They have fantastic beef meat there. If you go to Madeira, it's fish. If you go to the Algarve, it's seafood. So, wherever you walk in the country, you always find a different thing or more special things. But it's kind of food that you find all over the place anyway. And then the sweets, of course, many, many rich and good sweets.
I remember in Lisbon that I found a restaurant it was meat restaurant and grill, and it was quite small with a huge queue, and you choose your part of the meat and you get a hot stone and you need to prepare by yourself. But it was really amazing. Huge queue before you enter this restaurant, but it was really, really tasty. I think you know about which restaurant I'm talking about, or
Yes, exactly. And then, like I said in the beginning, we have influences from other countries, from other cultures. So you also find Japanese food, you also find Chinese food, you also find sushi, which is now very, very popular and became quite, normal to find it. And then you also find curry, you also find Indian food. I would
everything.
say that everything, and all these goes topped by a very good Portuguese wine. So that's the cherry on top of the cake, right?
That's the reason that it's needed to go there, even if you want to try the Indian cuisine, but you will get a really good wine.
Yes, good
That's
white wine, good red wine, because we are a wine country. So from the north to the south, there many different of wine regions producing different types of wine, table wine, but with all of them with very good quality. So when you come here, you don't find so much German wine or Hungarian wine or Romanian wine. You find Italian wine, obviously, and Spanish wine. But the Portuguese wine is what everybody wants to.
Of course, if we are in Portugal, we need to try the Portugal wine for sure.
Exactly.
Okay, Maria, I think we already done our virtual trips today. I would like you, thank you so much for the idea that you bring us for, I think, almost full part of the Lisbon and show us its hill in the center and the ocean. So thank you very much for that. It was really a good idea.
I hope you like it. The idea was to inspire you a bit,
Yeah.
You people that are at home, to inspire you and to also to help you to remember some of the locations if you've been, because if you've been, I'm quite sure you saw, or you remember some of the things as well. Okay.
Yeah, but
Thank you so much.
I didn't were here when you were close to the sea, and I didn't see the bridge because it was like for me like short trip in Lisbon, like 4 3 days, and I was quite busy. So for me, some part was also new, and I think that for the people who never been there, they already see a part of Lisbon, and now they will get a feeling that they want to go there to see the destination. And of course, Portugal, I think it's really, really nice destination, really nice country to visit. I can say that I fall in love in Portugal, kind of, when I've been there. Really, I was discussed with somebody that, oh, I could live here because I prefer the warmer temperatures. But close to the south, you have warmer temperatures almost all of the year. And I was talking with somebody from Ukraine, and the girl said, "Yeah, I moved here because of that, of the temperature, of the people that we are smiling all the time." So it is really nice destination to visit for sure.
Yeah, it is, yes. And there is always this breeze, as you can see. We have must be around 30 degrees now. And there is this breeze that comes from the ocean. And that's make it the country quite you feel well. You
Yeah.
feel the heat, but you feel well as well,
Yeah.
because you have all this, the ocean breeze as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you so much as well for your company, and all good for all of you back home. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Wam również dziękujemy, kochani, za udział w kolejnych wirtualnych podróżach. Mamy nadzieję, że chociaż trochę rozkochaliście się już w Portugalii, w Lizbonie na pewno, bo troszeczkę jej mieliście okazji zobaczyć. Także dziękujemy, że byliście z nami. Jeżeli pojawią się jakieś pytania odnośnie Lizbony, Portugalii, Madery czy Azorów, dajcie znać, czy to w wiadomości prywatnej, czy to w komentarzach. Na wszystkie pytania bardzo chętnie odpowiemy. Już teraz oczywiście zapraszamy Was na kolejną wirtualną podróż. Wkrótce opublikujemy tradycyjnie termin następnej podróży, jak również kierunek. Cieszymy się, że znowu byliście z nami. Pozdrawiamy Was serdecznie.